Don't leave home without it. Pitching for the Cubs this afternoon, left-hander Steve Trout, who's 4-1 with an ERA of 2.68. And on the mound for the Mets, the doctor, right-hander Dwight Gooden, 3-1 with an ERA of 2.64.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm Ralph Kiner, along with Tim McCarver, Steve Zabriskie, and Rusty Staub, all set for the final game of this three-game set. Each team has won two. We have a beautiful day for baseball. Nice warm summer day, and the Mets against the Cubs. Going for the Cubs, Steve Trout, a left-hander who has a good sinker ball pitcher. He's 2 games over 500 in his major league career and 2 games under 500 against the Mets lifetime. And he'll be throwing a lot of ground balls in this ball game. And going for the Mets, the doctor, and he has made news more ways than one here today.
Well, of course, it's always news when Dwight Gooden pitches. He has won 3 of his first 4 starts. He beat the Cubs at Wrigley Field, but I know what you mean, Ralph. The 2 stories that broke today in the New York papers obviously of more concern now than the physical prowess of Dwight Gooden.
Well, there's no doubt about it. The story broke as Dwight told his side of the story of his drug addiction with cocaine. And in that story, Dwight admitted to the fact that it was peer pressure rather than the pressure of pitching in the major leagues that got him on the cocaine. And as it happens so often in this world, it is peer pressure that gets everyone involved with cocaine that is involved. And it's a good story in a way, and it's a lesson. Boy, is it a lesson in a way.
I was going to say, you don't want to try to make it like a public service announcement, but then again, why not? If anybody ever doubts how your dignity can be toppled by that dreaded drug, all you have to do is read the accounts of Dwight Gooden in the New York Post and Newsday today.
So Gooden has told his side of the story, and now we're back to the action of New York Mets baseball against the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs in second place. The Mets are tied for third, and they're 5.5 games back of the St. Louis Cardinals. Now,
Durham's got a muscle pull, and Darrell's got the great arm. Really, Darrell's arm made the play. So I had nothing to do in that play, so I just watched Durham, and I saw that he left early, and when he left early, I screamed at Quick just to bring his attention to it. And fortunately, that, we got the out, and they would have scored a run at him because they got 2 more hits after that.
Well, you had a little problem communicating, however, to John Mitchell exactly what you wanted him to do, didn't you?
Well, everybody was wondering why I was smiling, and I went to the mound, and I said, John, Durham left early. I go, appeal to second base, and typical Mitch with that southern draw said, well, what do I do? So I said, John, take your stretch, step off, throw the ball to Keith at second base, and we'll get the out. So I had to laugh at that. That's why I was smiling.
That's great.
Okay.
That's perfect.
Okay. Thanks.
Well, as usual, Keith Hernandez doesn't miss much that happens on the baseball field, and he certainly does a pretty good John Mitchell impersonation, too. We'll be back with the start of the game right after this for Budweiser.
And Dwight will be facing Dave Martinez, the center fielder, leading off. Rafael Palmeiro, what a good-looking hitter he appears to be. He'll bat second. Right fielder Jerry Mumphrey hitting third, and Leon the Bull Durham at first base batting fourth. Keith Moreland at third base will bat fifth. Paul Noche, the young second baseman, pressed into service because of the injury to Ryan Sandberg at second, batting sixth. Catcher Jim Sundberg will bat seventh. Mike Brumley, the shortstop, also pressed into service because of the injury to Sean Dunston. He's batting eighth, and Steve Trout batting ninth.
the umpires for the game today: John Kibler behind home plate, Jim Quick the umpire at first base, Bruce Fremming the umpire at second, and Greg Bonin the umpire at third.
All right. You do have a fine voice, pal.
How about that?
Very nice.
Well, it's the Cubs and Mets. Mets a full game back of the Cubs as you're looking at 286. 2 home runs, 15 RBIs. And in this series, he's 3 for 9 and has hit .278 against the Mets this year, 5 hits and 18 times up. Gooden with a record of 3-1, an earned run average of 2.64. He's 1-0 against the Cubs this year. Won a blowout game against the Cubs in Wrigley Field. He has won 9 straight decisions against Chicago. His last loss was back in 1984. And the fastball for ball 1. Martinez with a fine on-base percentage. .385 on-base percentage for the Cubs as the leadoff batter, and he fouls off the fastball.
You might consider it a quick read, but you were reading my mind.
That's a very short book.
Dave Martinez, throughout his minor league career, has had about a 1-to-1 base on ball to strikeout ratio, and you rarely see that with young hitters anymore. And that's why he's going to make himself a good leadoff hitter. He's very selective.
Fine defensive ball player and playing center field. Martinez with 31 walks so far this year, and there's one high for ball 3. 3 balls, 1 strike. He has 54 hits and a total of 31 walks, and has struck out just 23 times. And ball 4, so Martinez does his thing as he walks to first base. So a run around with no one out as we get underway here at Shea, and the batter will be Rafael Palmeiro. Palmeiro 1 for 5 in last night's ball game, batting .286 for the year with 1 home run, 5 runs batted in.
And you can look for Martinez to be running. He's stolen 5 in 7 tries. Gooden, on the other hand, has picked off 2 runners. R.J. Reynolds from the Pittsburgh Pirates. Gooden, of course, with a much improved move to first base.
When he came to the major leagues, he had no move to first base, but then he didn't have to have. Nobody got on when he was pitching in the minors. In just about the first 2 years here in his major league career. Really can't think of any power pitcher, Tim, that has had a good move to first base.
Sandy Koufax had none. Bob Gibson had none. I never saw Feller. How about Feller?
Feller had a bad one. Tom Seaver never had a good move to first.
Nolan Ryan, not particularly good. Better than the others mentioned, however. Mike Scott, now there's a good move to first base. And he's certainly a power pitcher, but has not come into prominence but over the last 2 years.
Of course, Mike in his earlier days had a lot of practice, till he came up with that split finger fastball and then became an outstanding pitcher, one of the best in baseball. Martinez at first base, no one out, top of the first. And Gooden again to first. Close play.
In order to have any kind of good move to first, you have to be close to balking. And the year after Gooden worked on that move, sure enough, he was called for 6 balks in 1985. But he did win 24 games.
24-4 that year, the Cy Young Award winner. And he misses high, and that's ball 1. Palmeiro playing in his first game against the Mets yesterday. And he is an outstanding prospect.
Not his first time to face Dwight Gooden, is it?
No, it isn't. No. Last year. And another one high, and it's 2 balls, no strikes.
Last year, when the Mets clinched the division, Palmeiro took Gooden deep for a 2-run home run in the 9th inning. But Dwight prevailed in that game, winning 4-2, and thereby clinching the National League Eastern Division. First of 3 crowns for New York last year.
2-0 the count. And 3-0. So Gooden here, finding that his control is not up to snuff as he gets started in this ball game. A walk to Martinez on a 3-1 pitch, and now 3-0 to Rafael Palmeiro.
One of the real mysteries about Dwight Gooden's career, if anything can be mysterious about it, is the difference between his daytime starts and nighttime starts.
And he gets a strike there, 3-1.
At night, Gooden is 45-9 in games started. In the daytime, he is 16-11. 5 games over in the daytime, 36 games over 500 at night. Remarkable.
And again, he's over to first. Again, it's close. The theory being that it's easier to see the fastball and hit the fastball in daylight than it is at night, but that's disputed by Wade Boggs of the Boston Red Sox, who hates day baseball game. And he is the premier hitter in the major league. Boggs said if he had to play in Wrigley Field, he'd shoot himself. Andre Dawson opted to play in Wrigley Field. Signed for a much lesser amount of money just to play in Chicago. Ground ball to short. Miller has no play at second. The runner going with a pitch. So he picks up the out at first. Mumphrey hitting .328 on the year with 4 home runs, 20 RBIs. Against the Mets, he's hitting make that 125. 2 hits and 16 at-bats. And the fastball for ball 1. Mumphrey in this series 0 for 4. And against Gooden, he's had 5 hits and 24 at-bats.
Ralph, it was interesting the way Jerry Mumphrey took that pitch. A lot of young hitters, of course Jerry's not a young hitter, but a lot of hitters, period, think that they really have to rush to get out in front of that fastball. You get into a lot of bad habits that way. That front side opens up.
And back with a fastball, ball 2.
Anytime a pitcher can make a hitter rush, then he's really doing himself a service and a disservice to the hitter, because waiting and having quick hands, 2 of the essences of good hitting.
And ball 3, and for the 3rd time now, Gooden has gone to a 3-ball count. And he's only pitched to 3 batters. The ideal way to speed up your bat with a fastball pitcher is to use the same movements, but shorten up on the bat, choke up on it, and get the head of the bat around a little faster. Don't see much of that anymore. 3-0 pitch, and a strike call, 3-1. Ted Williams, one of the greatest hitters ever, always choked up on the bat when he got down to 2 strikes. And he was also one of the great power hitters.
You kind of choke up on your mind, too. Your thinking changes. But one of the worst habits to get into is to rush and have that front shoulder fly out of there.
3-1. The runner goes, and the ball is ball 4. The throw is in time. And Dave Martinez thrown out at third base by Gary Carter. Big play for the Mets.
And a bad play, in my opinion, and I'll tell you why. When a pitcher's struggling as much as Gooden has been struggling, and Gene Michael dismayed at Martinez trying to steal, you've got a left-handed hitter up there, a fastball pitcher who throws high fastballs, thereby giving Carter a good pitch to throw. And plus, Gooden's been wild. You've got to give a young guy like Gooden a chance to get wild, and Martinez just ran himself possibly, and the Cubs out of a big inning.
Now the batter will be Leon Durham, and the first pitch outside, ball 1. Durham hitting .302 for the year with 14 home runs, 24 RBIs. Instead of having runners at first and second and 1 out, there's a runner at first and 2 out.
Watch the pitch that Carter has to handle. Boy, this is tailor-made. Up, away. Simple matter of just throwing, and they have Martinez by a big margin.
And the first curveball by Gooden. He gets it in the strike zone. 1-1.
So much easier for a catcher to throw the ball. There's no impediment of a right-handed hitter there.
Come out throwing, come out moving right at that bag.
You don't have to dodge anybody when the right-hander's not up there.
And strike 2, so Gooden back with his first in front count, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Behind the first 3 batters. Mumphrey, the runner at first base. 2 men away, top of the first inning. It's close, but ball 2, 2-2. Durham 3 for 7 in this series and 7 for 19 against the Mets this year. That's a .368 average as Keith Moreland stands by. And a throw to first base. Mumphrey has not attempted a stolen base this year.
He used to be able to run. He was one of 3. First time in the history of baseball where a team had 3 guys with 50 stolen bases or more back in 1980.
With San Diego, and right up the middle, a base hit. So Mumphrey goes to second and holds there as Wilson gets to it. And Durham has a base hit with 2 men out and runners now at first and second.
Third baseman, Keith.
I guess Gene Michaels got to be shaking his head right now. This would have plated a Cub run, and there wouldn't have been but 1 out. You can add to all of those things the decision on Martinez to run. That you got your middle of the lineup up. Durham, Moreland.
And the Cubs with 94 home runs, second in the National League in home runs, and they have a team batting average of 266. So Keith Moreland steps in. He has been hot. Overall, he's hitting .243 with 12 home runs, 45 RBIs, but he's had 9 home runs and 29 runs batted in his last 20 games. And there's a little lecture going on there.
Yes, sir.
Michael explaining the facts of life on the baseball field to Dave Martinez.
The birds and the bees of baseball.
That's right, the BBBs. And a drive to right field. Strawberry right there. So Strawberry pulls it in as Moreland hits it hard to right. And that ends the inning. 1 hit, 2 walks, and 2 men left on.
For trouble, and we help them out.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Mets continue to make every effort to ensure that you truly enjoy.
Let's go a little longer, then I'll let you go out there.
Play, such as the throwing of objects onto the field or in the stands. Violation of any of these rules will result in ejection from the ballpark. Yes, we will you and all of our other friends who are here with us this afternoon to have a most pleasant time indeed.
Not only the calm of a batter, but he's a left-handed hitter, which gives the catcher an unhindered way of throwing the ball to third base. And even worse, Dave didn't have a good lead at all. He just had a small lead when he tried to break for third base and was easily out. Here's Mookie Wilson, switch hitter. Strike call. Now the pitch on the way. Outside. Tom and Jerry Wynn from Port Richey, Florida, celebrating a 33rd winning anniversary. Ground ball to the shortstop. Brumley's got it. Throws to first in time. 1 out. Wilson hit that ball sharply, but right out Brumley. 1 away.
1 RBI. And an idea about Bunny. Anybody you know?
I'm glad he signed it. So Marianne, Isaac deserves a response.
Absolutely. 1 ball, 1 strike to Keith Miller. Miller 1 for 6 against the Cubs in this series. And Trout misses outside, 2-1. Trout with the famous father pitching in the major leagues. His father known as Dizzy Trout. Hard throwing right-hander. Hard base hit into left field for Keith Miller. He hustles around first and then holds.
Now batting, first baseman, number 17, Keith.
A breaking ball from Steve Trout laced into left field, and now Keith Miller has batted safely in 8 of 9 games that he started since being called up June 16th. And a threat to steal. He has stolen 4 in a row. Trout does not have a good move.
And the batter for the Mets, Keith Hernandez. Keith hitting at .305 for the year with 8 home runs, 32 RBIs. Keith has not had a hit in this series. He's 0 for 6. And overall this year, he's 2 for 19 against the Cubs, but his 2 hits have been home runs.
This pitcher can chew up left-handers, too. He runs that fastball in on the hands. He is tough on lefties.
And that's ball 1. Trout off the disabled list. Was 5-7 last year. 2 of his losses to the Mets. His lifetime record, 78 wins, 76 losses. And it's ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes. Jackie Gleason, a member of the Raccoon Lodge.
How do you know that?
Because Bill Webb told me. And I believe everything Bill tells me. You think I'm not sick?
That's one of your first mistakes.
I mean... Another one over to first base. Well, that really was what I was referring to when you looked at that guy with that hat. He and his buddy, members of the Raccoon Lodge, and this ball with the runner going, hit in the air to shallow center. Misjudged by Martinez. It will drop in. Miller, a good job of base running, goes to third. So Dave Martinez totally misjudging that ball, and it drops in for a base hit.
And I'll tell you, he had some help, too, from Paul Noche, who didn't go after the ball because he was involved in the decoy at second base. Noche, in my opinion, look at Noche right there. He's involved in the decoy instead of going out to try to make the catch. Had he gone out on the ball, instead of worried about Keith Miller being decoyed at second and leave that up to Mike Brumley, he might have a shot at it.
So a mistake by the second baseman and a misjudgment in center field, and the Mets have runners at first and third with 1 out, and Gary Carter the batter. And the first pitch, ball 1. Carter hitting .248, 8 home runs, 34 RBIs.
Our high home cameraman captured that beautifully. Andre strikes again, huh? Well, we got to take another look at that. Paul Noche going through the motions of the decoy when in effect he could have caught the ball possibly.
Ground ball up the middle. Noche knocks it down. He gets the out at second, but the Mets get a run as Miller crosses home plate, and the Mets lead 1-0. Good job knocking the ball down by Noche and picking up the out.
Really was. If he doesn't knock it down, Hernandez goes to third. Carter does get credit for an RBI, his 35th, but watch Noche. He loses the ball and then throws the ball from his back. Boy, now the impact on the ground knocks the ball loose, but Noche with the wherewithal to make the play lying on his back. Fine play by Noche.
And you're watching Mets Baseball 87 on WWOR-TV, Secaucus, New Jersey. Darryl Strawberry hitting .269, 20 home runs, 45 runs batted in. 2 for 7 in this series. And that pitch, ball 2. To the second baseman, Noche. And that'll do it. But the Mets get 1 run on 2 hits, and they leave 1. The score at the end of 1, the Mets won, the Cubs nothing. Now here's a word from Nissan. He was doing the decoy on the ground ball routine, trying to confuse the base runner. So now Noche leads it off here in the top of the second. And it's strike 1. Noche 4 for 8 against the Mets this year, 3 for 7 in this series. And a ground ball down toward shortstop, cut off by Johnson. And a good play, and Noche is out.
Watch Howard Johnson's glove hug the ground. It's a good play by Howard. He had to play shallow for Noche because Noche will bunt. Nice play by Howard Johnson.
So that'll bring up Jim Sundberg. And Sundberg hits it to deep right. Strawberry on his horse, and he's there to make the play. So Sundberg on the first pitch, deep to right field and out. Sundberg before the out hitting 245.
Number 17.
Now Mike Brumley will be the batter, hitting 138. Brumley in this series 1 for 7, but that one base hit, a 2-run home run off of Ron Darling that gave the Cubs a 4-1 lead. They won that ball game in spite of the fact that Darling pitched an outstanding game, striking out 11. Mets coming back to win yesterday's ball game 2-1 in their last at bat. So Brumley with a ball one, no strike count. Mets have used 10 different starting pitchers this year after using only 9 in all of 1986. Mets without the services of Bob Ojeda and David Cone. They expect Cone back earlier than the scheduled return sometime in August. And Rick Aguilera is now at Tidewater taking his pitching turn, and he might be back within 2 to 3 weeks.
I think he's pitching Saturday night at Tidewater.
Mets started the season obviously without the services of Dwight Gooden and Roger McDowell. Gooden on the rehab, and McDowell was recovering from a hernia operation. And that pitch a ball, that's 2 balls, no strikes. Brumley's father played. Did he play Major League Ball, Tim?
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
I played in the minor leagues with him. I was with him in spring training 3 years with the Cardinals, and then he played for the old Washington Senators from 1964 to 1966. He's presently and interestingly a pastor of a Baptist church in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. He was a catcher.
2-0 the count. That proves that catchers can do anything.
That is correct.
2-1 the count. Thought I might point that out when you pointed out that Manny Trio started his career as a catcher.
Yeah, right. Keith Moreland.
Keith Moreland. Trio, a great defensive second baseman. Moreland improving considerably at third base after being in the outfield. 3-1 pitch, and it's hit on the ground to Miller at second base, who does a good job handling the ball, and the Cubs go in order. The score at the end of 1.5 innings.
He's hit .333 against the Cubs. 7 out of 21. Here's Steve Trout. Fastball high. Kevin McReynolds. Ball high, ball 2.
McReynolds has been a very good addition to this ball club because he fits nicely in the middle of that lineup with Strawberry and Hernandez swinging from the left side. McReynolds and Gary Carter balance it from the right.
There's a strike called. 2 balls and a strike. McReynolds, who used to be with San Diego. A ground ball back to Trout. He's got it. Flips over to first for the out. I'm gone. Ball is sharply hit. Here's Howard Johnson.
On the right side.
Now the pitch. A little bit high. 1 ball. 1 man out. 1-0 Mets. Now the pitch. A little low. 2 balls, no strikes on Howard Johnson. You want to look at the baseball. Johnson did. John Kibler throws it back in play.
Jim Sundberg is telling Steve Trout to get his arm up. The ball sinks better when the arm and the hand are on top of the ball. You get under it, the ball stays up.
Here's the pitch. A high pump foul coming back and into the stands right below us here.
Well, if you had your net, you'd have had a souvenir, Harry.
Yeah, I should have had the net. One man out. 2 balls, 1 strike. The pitch. Ball 3. Looks like Trout's having trouble getting the ball down.
Well, on the changeup, which he threw last, he got under the ball, and that's why everything's staying up.
The pitch. Walked in ball 4. So Howard Johnson is on, and that brings up Rafael Santana, hitting .259.
Santana's a lot like Paul Noce as a hitter. Doesn't hit the ball very far, doesn't hit the ball very hard most of the time, but seems to find a hole. He's a good fastball hitter, a good high fastball hitter, and he will hit the mistakes. If you make good pitches to him, you can get him out consistently.
Throw to first, the runner back. Dwight Gooden next. The pitch. Base hit. And here goes Howard Johnson stopping at second. We have Palmeiro in left field and Jerry Humphreys playing right field.
Once again, he finds a hole just to the left of Keith Moreland. And now Steve Trout in a jam.
And now, Dwight Gooden, pretty good hitter, 2 out of 12. Comes up to the plate.
Both hits have been singles, but Gooden is a quality hitter for a pitcher. Leon Durham thinks he's going to bunt. So does Keith Moreland.
The pitch. He swings and he misses. Now he comes out of the batter's box to take a look at Sam Perloza, the third base coach. Moreland is talking to Steve Trout. The pitch. He bunts. The only play, third base. Oh, they throw to first, save. Trout started to throw to third, changed his mind, whirled and threw to first, and Gooden had beaten it out.
Steve Trout has had periodic throwing problems, and the call belongs to the catcher, Jim Sundberg, because he's got the play in front of him. Now watch it again. Sundberg has got to be calling first base. You can see Trout, after a couple of steps, had no other play, and Gooden beats it out, and it'll go as a base hit.
And now the Mets threaten to blow it apart with Gooden pitching. 1 out, bases loaded. Gooden was credited with the hit, of course. Bases are loaded. Ground ball out at second and safe at third. Brumley had a hold of the ball. Another run crosses the plate. It's 2-0. A force out from Noce to Brumley.
Brumley wisely held the ball. Look at Gooden go in at second base. He just disrupts the throw, and no sense getting it off. You're not going to get a fleet Mookie Wilson at first base. So it goes as RBI number 19 for Mookie.
That brings up Keith Miller. Noce had to come over to his left. It wasn't hit directly at him. That made a tough play out of it. So they've scored 1 in each inning. 2 men are out. Here's Keith Miller. Runner back. Again, Mookie is back.
Mookie's stolen 10 bases. He's been caught stealing twice. That was Wilson's 20th RBI.
There's a ground ball to the shortstop. He flips for a force out, and that retires the side.
The Cubs with 1 hit off Dwight Gooden, and the Mets with 4. Trout 2 for 17 on the year. Oh, and 1 to Steve Trout. The Cubs, of course, with a fabled history. The last time that they won anything, 1945. I shouldn't say anything. They did win the division, as you pointed out, Ralph, earlier in 1984. But Steve Trout's father pitched in that World Series for the Detroit Tigers back in 45. Little looper left field. McReynolds over, and he makes the play. One away here in the third.
Now, Steve's dad was a fine right-handed pitcher.
The next batter, center fielder,
and ended up his career in the front office of the Chicago White Sox, and a very close friend of Bill Veeck.
On this day, you talk about the fabled history of the Cubs, who probably have the largest following for a team that has to be considered a losing franchise over the last 40 years or so. The exception, as we said, 84. They toyed with a championship back in 1969. Lost that big lead. But back in 1909, a very interesting story about a foul ball hit by Joe Tinker that landed on an automobile windshield. That's not unusual today, but it was back then, huh?
Certainly was. This is my kind of stat. It broke the window, and that was the first foul ball that ever broke an automobile window. And you want to know why? Because there were only 300 autos registered in Chicago at that time. Now that's a stat.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. 1-0 to Martinez. He walked the first time up, and he drills this one by Johnson. So Martinez, who was batting .286 coming in, picks up a hit. He's 1 for 1 now.
Rafael Palmeiro.
And right here he slices the ball by Johnson, who is playing in the guard against the possible bunt. The advantage of having that infielder in tight, you can drive it by him. Cubs had a fellow that could do that as well as anybody at one time, Stan Hack, a great third baseman.
He would draw you in?
Draw you in and hit it by you.
Was he a bunter? He drove in 190 runs.
No, but he was a good hitter, but he'd fake the bunt and get you in. You had to play him in.
Why, I guarantee you, if I'm playing third base and a guy drives in 190 runs, I'm not going to play him in. There goes Martinez. And a stolen base for Dave. So he makes it this time. A little imprudent last time.
We used to play Stan Hack like they played Harry Walker. Right here, here's the throw on down this time. At second base, he has it beat easily. 63rd stolen base by the Cubs this year in 80 attempts.
Hack that year also had 56 home runs.
No, that's Hack Wilson.
Oh, Hack Wilson. That's who I'm thinking of.
Stan Hack.
Yeah. A couple of Hacks. Now, what are they, driving cabs now?
Yeah, they're cab drivers.
I got my Hacks confused. I used to do that as a hitter, too. 0-2 to Palmeiro. Harry Walker, one of 2 guys to win a batting title while being traded in the middle of the year. Did it in 47, I believe, with the Cardinals. Traded to the Phillies from the Cardinals in 47. 0-2 to Palmeiro. There's that crisp swing you were talking about earlier, Ralph.
Oh, he has good, fast hands.
Tough pitch, and he happened to get the good part of the bat on the ball, even though he fouled it back. Martinez at second, 1 out, 2-0 New York. The rubber game of this 3-game series. All the other National League action at night. Swing and a miss. Strikeout number 1 for Gooden on a bad ball. 2 outs.
Well, you go after this high fastball, and you got very little chance with Dwight Gooden. That's where Dwight got most of his strikeouts early in his career, and now the hitter's trying to keep him down lower in the strike zone, taking that pitch. That's why it's so difficult to have continuous great years.
Hitters adjust, pitchers adjust. The trick is to adjust before they do, or at least while they're doing it. Ground ball right side. Miller through his legs, and Martinez is going to score. It'll probably go as a base hit, but it was a playable ground ball. 2-1 New York.
Well, Miller over there trying to make a play in the ball and actually trying to get in front of the ball, and that probably cost him because he tried to square around, didn't quite do it, and then it rolls far enough away that the run scores. And the Cubs are on the board.
Well, it's going to be scored an error. It is a tough error on Keith Miller, I beg your pardon.
Oh, that's a tough error. He's out in the outfield grass.
Yep, I agree. That's a base hit. It was a playable ball, but it would have been a nice play had he come up with it. Here's Bull Durham. Ball, he lays off of it. 1-0 to Durham.
Makes that run that scored not a run batted in for Mumphrey because of the error charge.
And an unearned run charge to Gooden. And should the Cubs score any more runs this inning, all will be unearned. Ball 2. If you remember, Durham came over to the Cubs in the Bruce Sutter trade. Durham and Kenny Reitz. Reitz has since retired. Durham still going strong. 2-0 to Leon. Ball 3.
And probably Sutter finished as a pitcher in his major league career.
Yeah, it'll be a miracle if Bruce comes back. He may be swinging, but he takes 3-1.
Gooden has not thrown but 1 or 2 curveballs in this ball game. That's in contrast to his first 4 games where he threw close to 60% fastballs and 40% curves.
It's probably because he's been behind on most of the hitters. Oh boy, Mumphrey almost nailed. Cannot get picked off in that situation.
Yeah, 2 men out and your power hitters up. Durham followed by Moreland.
Even if you're trying to steal, a good jump is not a necessity here. He's not running anyway, and Durham fouls it back. That's why it's a bad situation to run. Now you've got to run. It's 3-2 and 2 outs. Mumphrey and Hernandez, once teammates with the St. Louis Cardinals, chatting down at first. The Mets have a 2-1 lead. They scored single runs in the first and second. The Cubs with 1 here in the third. Mumphrey running, of course, and the curveball is fouled back. That was a good curve right there. Outfield very deep, playing Durham toward left center. Strawberry straight away and right. There's a gap in right center. Durham with good power the other way. And it's hit to right center. Strawberry over. This ball does have some hang time, and Darrell makes the catch. But the Cubs on the board with an unearned run. Planning also, if you're Met fan, for your tickets in the month of August. The Mets are home most of August and, as Ralph said, most of July after the All-Star break. So a month and a half of Shea Stadium, New York Met baseball. Hernandez takes a strike. He had a bloop base hit his first at bat. 1-1 to Keith. Fouls it off the end of the bat. 1-2.
And we should pass on a happy birthday to Bill Robinson.
Yeah.
Birthday today. Bill has notified the press and media that he will manage in Winter League ball this year.
His first winter as a manager. He played there in Caracas, Venezuela, however, back in 1964. 2-2 to Hernandez. If you're thinking about a home run now, forget it. Trout to Hernandez. The reason I say that is Trout has given up only one home run to a left-handed batter since 1981. That was Terry Kennedy back in '85. But had Hernandez gotten under that, that would have been another one. He's going to have a double as it is, and he's at second with nobody out.
Well, Keith had been hitless in this series before his first at bat in the first inning. He's now picked up 2 as he doubles into right field. A couple of years back, Keith was in a horrendous slump early in the year, and he went 4 for 4 against Steve Trout to break that slump and go on to have an outstanding year.
And if memory serves me correctly, that was the first start of Dwight Gooden against the Chicago Cubs. Back in '84, he went 4 for 4 against Trout after a tough start. Gooden, since that time, he really got laced that day by the Cubs, but since that time, he's beaten the Cubs 10 of 11. Carter 0 for 1.
And he's won his last 9 decisions against the Cubs. His last loss was August 6th, 1981 to the Cubs.
Fake to second, obviously no balk. You can fake to second or third, not to home or first. Unless you're called for a balk.
Hey, you can fake a lot, but it's going to cost you.
Yeah, you can do anything you want to do. John Vukovich in charge of the outfielders and infielders. He's moving Mike Brumley over closer to second base, and Paul Noche also. He's telling him, hey, Paul, don't worry about Keith Hernandez. See, he's telling him to shade him toward first. Hernandez isn't going anywhere.
Moved him a long way, about 20 feet. About the length of some of those putts you used to sing.
When was that? 2-0 to Carter.
Someday we've got to get Vukovich on film imitating Tim McCarver at the plate. He's got Tim down perfectly.
Been so long I forgot how I was at the plate.
Anytime you want to know how you used to stand, just ask him.
Carter may be hitting here. The count 3-0. Hernandez at second, nobody out. 2-1 New York, bottom of the third.
And Carter will hit 3-0.
But he takes on the outside corner. 3-1.
That's a good piece of hitting, actually, taking that pitch. Too tough to hit. You got all the advantage still with a 3-1 count.
Sinker is outside, so Carter draws a base on balls, and the Mets with a chance for a big inning. They have runners at first and second and nobody out. Darryl Strawberry grounded to second his first at bat. Darryl leads the Mets in RBIs with 45. That ties him with Keith Moreland for 9th place in the National League. His heart might have been in that swing. but not the other part of his anatomy.
Some of the parts were leaving.
Outside, 1-1. There's a guy who will be joining you in the 4th inning who rarely took a swing like that, but occasionally all left-handers against left-handed pitching.
Who was the left-hander you and Rusty were talking about that was so tough?
Joe Gibbon was one of them.
Yeah, he was tough. Left-hander.
Ramon Hernandez was the guy. This one looped foul down the left field line. It's 1-2 to Darrell. That's Ramon Hernandez. We still have nightmares against that guy.
Wake up in the middle of the night screaming.
Speaking of certain parts of your anatomy, it wants to leave when you think of Ramon Hernandez. I'm driving along in a car. My door opens. 1-2 to Strawberry. Pretty well hit to left field, but Palmeiro should have no trouble, and he makes the catch. 1 out, and the batter, Kevin McReynolds.
Every batter has their nemesis, and Bill Whirl used to really tie up Stan Musial in the nuts. Left-handed, herky-jerk, sidearm type pitcher.
Pirates had another guy whose son is playing, I know, a sign with the Major League Club. Fred Green was an awfully tough left-hander on me in the early 60s. Claude Osteen, Chris Short. Rusty's rolling his eyes.
You're going to ruin his day. Used to call him poor boy.
Billy Odell. Billy Pierce. A lot of Billies gave me the willies. A ball and a strike to McReynolds. Play by Jim Sundberg, the catcher. What a career he has had. Boy, that's a fine play. He was a catcher in the 1985 World Series for the Kansas City Royals. Started every game. He has started 1,765 Major League games coming into today's action, and has been on the disabled list 1 time, which is remarkable. Teammate of Rusty Staub's in Texas. One to McReynolds. 2 balls and a strike.
Give you an idea, the Major League record for games got is held by Hall of Famer Al Lopez, who was in 1,917 games.
Sundberg in 5th place. Gabby Hartnett is next in line. He caught 1,790 games, so Sundberg 24 games behind Hartnett. This one looped into right center. It could drop, and it does. Hernandez is going to try to score, and he's making it. 3-1 New York.
Well, the Mets get their second Texas Leaguer type hit. Ball dropping in front of the center fielder and in back of the second baseman. This time the second baseman Noche goes for it. Now the relay is bobbled, and that allows Hernandez to come in and score. O'Keefe going about halfway, and then he sees that it's going to drop, takes off for third. He's waved around, and he comes in to score. He would have been out if the relay had not been dropped at the second base area.
Sam Perlazo, another good play as the third base coach, taking advantage of the youth in the middle of the infield of the Cubs. Cubs are not playing a good ball game. And And often you see that, Ralph, a day game followed by a night game.
Of course, the Cubs missing the services of the MVP in 1984, Ryne Sandberg, and also they are missing at shortstop, Shawon Dunston.
2-0 to Johnson, even though the two young guys in this series have contributed greatly. Responsible for all 4 runs in game 1 the other night, and Noche drove in the only run for the Cubs in last night's game. So the second baseman and shortstop have accounted for all RBIs in this series. Johnson swings and misses, 2-1. Howard walked and scored a run in the second. Might be thinking, what about this game? Well, the Cubs have scored a run, but Jerry Mumphrey was not credited with an RBI because there was an error on Keith Miller. It's 3-1 to Johnson. Dangerous situation for Trout. Gary Carter be going in this situation?
Cubs are full of those trick plays.
Well, when you make a play like that, even though it's a fake, you know your concentration isn't 100% on the hitter, and that's where Trout's, I mean, he's struggling. It's 3-1 to Johnson. You got to make a good pitch here.
Got to keep in the ball game.
Stuff about trying to drive Gary Carter back to second doesn't make a lot of sense. There's a strike at the knees, 3-2. Send the runners here.
Well, Trout hasn't struck out a batter yet. He's not a strikeout pitcher, and that pitch is a good pitch to hit. Johnson should not be looking for a walk. I'd have to send him with the bottom of the batting order coming up.
I would too. Trout's a ground ball pitcher.
Even though Johnson strikes out a lot, swings at a lot of bad pitches.
They're not going, and the fastball was a bad pitch, and he took it. You know, some guys with runners running, some guys get a little more apprehensive than other guys, and Johnson may be one of those guys. He may feel compelled with runners running to swing at bad balls. Maybe that's why he does it a lot of times.
Yeah, he has a tough enough time trying to pick a pitch in the strike zone as it is, and when you're concerned about having to meet the ball, liable to go after anything.
Herm Starrett, formerly with the Baltimore Orioles, Philadelphia. Rafael Santana singled his first at bat, 1-0.
Lou Boudreau became the manager of the ball club. He was broadcasting, and Charlie Grimm, who was managing, became the broadcaster in an unusual switch for the Cubs a few years back.
Jolly Charlie. Fastball outside, 2-0. And now activity in the bullpen. Dickie Knowles is warming up. Three balls, no strikes, no place to put Santana as the bases are loaded.
The pitch. Almost threw it away. Ball 4. Forces in the run. That's the 4th walk. Given up by Trout. Well, that fly ball off the bat of McReynolds dropped in short right field, right center. It seemed to really upset Trout.
Each pitch got farther and farther away from the plate. That one was in the neighborhood. And you see Gene Michael telling Jim Sundberg, go out and talk to him, calm him down.
And has struck out none while giving up 6 hits. 4-1 New York. Grounded. Nice play, Moreland over to Noche. Back to first. A nice double play. 5-4-3. And that gets Trout out of further trouble. 2 runs for the Mets on only 2 hits. They strand 3, but they lead 4-1 after.
Wonderful present. Can you tell us about it?
Oh, Tommy's career started in 1967. I hit a bottle of 1967 Chateau Lafite. It was a Magnum, and I just wrote a little inscription on it. I said, Tommy, your career started when these grapes were picked. You certainly matured better than these grapes did. And I just really wished him best on a Hall of Fame career, and I really wanted to be a part of that particular day going there. You know, I didn't play golf with you that day, Ralph.
Oh, I know you really had to think something nice, but you missed a golf match.
You know that. I just, Tommy did a marvelous job explaining how he felt about everything. Classy man, and left the game in a classy way.
And anybody that would give up a bottle of 1967 Lafite got to have a tender spot in the heart. Well, it's 1 strike to Keith Moreland, who lined out to right his first time up. Moreland came into this game hitting .243. He has a .353 lifetime batting average in this ballpark. Moreland in this series 2 for 7. Mets leading 4-1. 4 runs on 6 hits. They made 1 error. The Cubs 1 run on 2 hits off Dwight Gooden. And a ball call, 2-1.
I'll tell you, Ralph, in 1984, Keith Moreland was sending cabs to the Met pitchers to come to the ballpark. I've never seen a hitter have a better year against a team.
And a good breaking ball by Gooden. Moreland, a fine hitter and a very good 2-strike hitter. Similar to Rusty Staub, only from the opposite side of the plate. Moreland goes the other way with 2 strikes. Rusty, the only man to hit a home run as a teenager and as a 40-year-old ball player, with 1 exception. Pretty good company. The other fellow was Ty Cobb.
Tyrus. He had a little better speed than I did, Ralph. I might have hit a few more home runs than he did.
He walked faster than you ran. Stole home 35 times. How many times did you do that?
I scored that many.
And there's the shot for right field, but it's out of play.
Well, it was a very muggy day when it started today. You see a lot of people out there without their shirts on. It's actually, I think it's gotten better instead of worse, Ralph. The breeze has picked up, kind of cooled off. Nice day for baseball. Well, see, you met Matthew before on the Monitor Fans. He's the guy that Billy Webb sends out and pays money to people that put his name on those posters.
High fly ball to shallow center field. Mookie with the shades down. And he makes the play. This game is brought to you in part by your New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut Lincoln Mercury Merkur dealers, and by RC Cola. People go out of their way for the taste of RC.
Ralph, on that play, Keith Moreland did something that in a game like today with such a bluebird sky where it's very difficult to see the ball in the outfield, he didn't hustle going around first base. If that ball had been dropped, he might not have made it to second base, and Mookie Wilson was struggling on that ball.
Yeah, there's a lot of sun out there in a high sky. Never know on a day game like this whether a ball will be lost in the sun. Paul Noche, the batter. Noche grounded out.
There's some basic things you have to do every day, every time, and that's one of them. Run the ball out.
Good curveball. Strike 2 the count. Noche 3 for 8 in this series, and a couple of RBIs. 3 RBIs to be exact. And there's a strikeout on the fastball. Gooden gets his second.
Right, Gooden with the express here. Just very difficult to handle that high heat that he's got.
Both of his strikeouts on fastballs, and that'll bring up Jim Sundberg. Sundberg flied out to right field on his first pitch, his first time up. And the curveball for ball 1.
When I played with Sundberg, Ralph, in Texas in 1980, he was one of the finest catchers I had ever watched perform behind the plate. Very, very consistent. Just really stayed in and didn't come out of his squat a lot. As you see a strike go by him, and another fastball, another good fastball by Dwight Gooden. Sundberg
was the model of consistency the whole time I was there. And to just keep enduring and play that many games and only be on the DL once and all that time as a catcher is incredible.
1,765 games and on the DL once. That's amazing. 2-1 the count.
I was on the DL once. How many times were you on the DL? Ralph?
Never.
Never? No DL.
Never was on it.
I didn't have any choice. They operated on my hand, Ralph.
Well, you could have played like Pete Gray. Line shot at second, and Miller holds on to it, and the Cubs go in order. The score at the end of 3.5 innings, the Mets 4, the Cubs 1. Now here's a word from Lincoln.
There's a shot foul, strike one. Wilson getting a start in center field. Officially nothing out of 2. Got credit for a run batted in on the fielder's choice in the second inning. His 20th run batted in of the year.
And reflecting on Mookie Wilson, you'd have to say he's a pretty good ball player.
Line drive off the glove of Durham and into right field for a base hit. He hit that ball sharply. And for New York, hit number 7.
The Bull made the diving effort, couldn't come up with it. And Mookie drilled that ball into right field. Steve getting the sinker up, and he pays for it.
Brings up the second baseman, Keith Miller. Miller singled his first time, 1 out of 2. Wilson back in at first. Miller had a 7-game hitting string snapped last night, going 0 for 3. Wilson's going, and the pitch is fouled away. A roller up the right side, strike one.
One thing you have to like about the Mets is the fact that when they get you down, they don't stop. Hit and run, 3 runs up. Davey Johnson trying to pad that lead. And Miller, a pretty good contact man.
One other afternoon game going. Cleveland at Minnesota 4-1. The Twins are on top. Phil Niekro and Bert Blyleven pitching in that game. Those two fellows have 550 victories between the two of them. Move to first. Wilson back in. Dan Gladden has homered in that game. Ken Herbeck also hit 1 out for the Twins, and Roy Smalley has hit 1. Wilson draws the throw from Trout. Mookie Wilson, 10 out of 12 in the running department. Ground ball sharply hit. Brumley to second one. Noche's throw to first, not in time. Noche did not unload the ball as quickly as he would like to. And Miller is aboard.
And again, Mookie draws some attention. Keep with a bloop double to center field. The ball misjudged by the center fielder, and then a legitimate double down the right field line. His 11th 2-base hit of the year, and a pitch out but nothing on. Although Keith Hernandez is hitting at the same pace as last year, it has not been as productive as last year. And that a ball. 2-0.
He has certainly come on as of late, Ralph. I do think that it was something that was bothering him early in the season. I think he let it eat away at him a little too much. I think it affected him. You just have to relax. You cannot drive in 8 runs in 1 at bat. Sometimes people try to do that. It's just not effective. You have to do it over the long haul, and you have to be consistent. And that's what Keith Hernandez's biggest plus is, his consistency.
Got to be like a machine. Go at it the same way every time if you can.
It's not so easy, though, to rub those doubts out of your mind and concentrate sometimes.
Again over to first. Keith batted .310 last year and .309 the year before. He came into this game hitting an even .300. Lifetime .300 batted. Trout's throwing a lot of pitches to first.
I think he's had more pitches to first base than to the plate in this inning.
Reminds you of the big guy, Sutcliffe.
Forever and a day. The human rain delay.
There goes the runner. The pitch is low, and the throw down to second is in time, and Miller is out for the first time in the major leagues on an attempted steal. He had been 4 for 4.
Well, Sundberg, good quick release, good accurate throw, nice tag, just beating young Miller. Good call. Bruce, that's Bruce Fromming on second base.
Perfect throw.
Maybe a little bit to one side of the bag, but certainly adequate.
So Hernandez follows the attempted steal with a walk, and that puts a runner at first with 2 men out. And a ground ball right by Sammy Palazzo. Strike one.
The scoring of Keith Hernandez in that inning, a product of Sam Palazzo. He's just doing one heck of a job down at third base, isn't he, Ralph?
He is. Fine third base coach.
Rookie year in the big leagues, deserves a lot of credit.
And it's up the middle, a base hit. Hernandez to second base and holding there. And Carter has his first hit. Hit number 8 for the Mets. And even with the pitcher scheduled to bat in the next inning, no one throwing in the bullpen. But now there is some action.
Probably getting Dickie Knowles up again. Gary Carter, I love to see it, moving the ball through the middle. Gary was struggling. He was coming off the ball a lot. There's certain situations where you can, of certain pitchers, try to move the ball, you know, in the gaps, try to pull the ball. Trout, he's tough to pull on.
Strawberry lines at the right field. Hernandez will have to hurry to score. Here comes the throw. A delay on it by Mumphrey, and Hernandez scores. Terry Mumphrey couldn't get it away. On the line shot to right by Darryl Strawberry, and the Mets lead by a score of 5-1.
On this play, I think Mumphrey thinks that he's got no chance to get anybody at the plate. He certainly is playing deep. He comes up with this ball. Had a chance had he come up throwing all the way to maybe, with a good relay, have a play at the plate. When he saw that Gary Carter was not going to third, he just threw the ball to the cutoff man. Hernandez, not good speed. That's not pre-thinking out there by the right fielder. He should know on a hard hit ball where he's going to go with that ball to start off with. There's Strawberry going right down on it.
He gets the ball to right field before Hernandez gets to third.
Certainly does. It's not pre-thinking in the outfield.
So now Knowles, just barely able to throw a couple of pitches, is coming into the ball game. And he's trying to get a couple more. And he's hitting with runners at first and second and 2 men away. And the slider in the dirt for ball one. Reynolds has hit in 11 of his last 13 games prior to this one. Now has hit in 12 of his last 14. He's had 20 base hits in those 14 ball games. 5 home runs, 11 RBIs, and a curve in there. 1 ball, 1 strike. Knowles, sort of a former bad boy of baseball. Had some problems off the field a few times.
That firewater used to get to him a little bit, Ralph. He's given that up, thank God.
And he's resurrected the career, and this ball fouled back from home plate out of play.
He was always an outstanding competitor. Very highly touted young player when he was with the Philadelphia Phillies. Obviously, Dallas Green knew him at that time. Has given him another opportunity to pitch in the big leagues. Obviously, he's earned it, too.
Runners at first and second, 2 men out. Mets with a run in, a play at second. Carter going nowhere at second base.
I have never seen a club make more useless pickoff attempts than the Chicago Cubs in these last 2 series.
That ball in tight, a check and a swing and a foul ball. And there is the curveball. Base Strawberry at first. The umpire put up 2-2. John Kibler, the home plate umpire. Evidently, that's what it is. 2-2. And it's blooped into left center field. It will drop, I believe. No, coming up is Martinez, and he makes the play. That ends the inning, but the Mets get one more, as they had 3 hits in the inning and leave 2 in the score at the end of 4. Only a pinch hitter, and Dave Martinez has the first 3 scheduled batters for the Cubs. Gooden's fastball hit out to the second baseman, Keith Miller. And 1 away. And the curveball for ball 1. Matthews, a former starting left fielder. And in the Mets bullpen, Terry Leach. Oops. No pitch as Gooden lost his footing on the mound.
See that toe kind of catch on there. Doesn't look like it hurt him any, Ralph.
Gooden has struck out 2 in the game. He also walked 2. The 2 walks coming in the first inning when he struggled. And the fastball fouled back off of home plate umpire John Kibler.
You saw Terry Leach warming in the bullpen. Terry Leach will be pitching as you see Dwight Gooden delivering this pitch. Foul tip. Boom. Goodness gracious, that's a jaw jolter.
But I have strong neck muscles for that one.
So I was saying Leach will be pitching Saturday night in Philadelphia. As you see that ball down. Sid Fernandez will start the series against Kevin Gross. Terry Leach against Shane Rawley. And on Sunday, Ron Darling against Don Carmen.
And the curveball. Phillies have not won a game against the Mets this year. They're 0-6. Last year, the only team to beat the Mets a season series, Philadelphia. They won 10 of the 18. Fastball and fouled off.
I personally think that Philadelphia, somewhere along the line, is going to put a real good stretch together. Everybody felt they were going to have an outstanding offense. It has not come to be yet. Lance Parrish has struggled tremendously. No one else has really taken off. Schmidt's been hurt a little bit. He's probably been their most productive hitter. But I think you're going to see them come on strong the second half.
And that pitch, a fastball for ball 4. So Gooden has walked his 3rd batter. Now runner on with 1 out.
Started leading off.
And a line drive to center field. Mookie Wilson comes in and makes the play. Mookie's playing a much shallower center field than he has in the past.
Well, I think it's encouraging to see that. This is a tough ball. It's the toughest ball for a center fielder. Line drive right at you. Mookie was playing in a little bit. The ball is not carrying that well, it seems like, today. I do think that one of the things all outfielders and a lot of the Met outfielders have to do, I've said many times, I think the worst thing I've seen is the adjusting of outfield play. Guys just stand in the same spot a lot. No one plays the counts, the outs, the time of the game. I'm just very surprised by that.
And Gooden's curveball, ball 1 to Rafael Palmeiro. Palmeiro has grounded out and struck out.
When I came up, Ralph, that was one of the things that people talk to you all the time about, is how to adjust to the game situation and the counts and who's pitching against what hitter. Nowadays, it seems like you got 3 spots in the outfield and you're anchored there.
High pop up to shallow center field. Mookie fighting that sun. And he makes the play. So a good job by Mookie Wilson. And in the inning, a walk and 1 left, and the score at the end of 4.5 innings, the Mets 5 and Chicago 1. Now here's a word from Budweiser. Howard Johnson has walked twice in his 2 appearances. He's 2 for 7 in this series. And the first pitch, ball 1. Howard has 3 home runs in his last 6 ball games and 5 runs batted in. Ball 2, fastball that time, 2 balls, no strike.
Going to move away from the hitters.
Goes to the breaking ball. 3 balls, no strikes.
There's no doubt that he is definitely throwing differently than he did when he was here with the Mets.
Johnson walks for the third time. And the runner going with a pitch. The hit and run is on. A bad throw by Sundberg. And Johnson with a stolen base, and now going to third on a throwing error by the catcher.
Howard Johnson gets an excellent jump here. Santana is going to protect him. Swinging at that pitch. Throws just a little short. Takes a bad hop. What a hop. Howard Johnson alertly gets up. And I'll tell you, give a little credit to Martinez. He did back that play up in center field. He was just playing so deep he couldn't get in there quick enough. Howard Johnson really got up off the ground quickly. Very agile move there to get to third base.
13 stolen base and 17 attempts, and this ball blooped into right field, a base hit. And the Mets get another. They have scored in every inning.
Well, as the man said, they don't say how, they say if. You see Rafael Santana shake his hands there. Ball is probably going to hit right off the end of the bat, right on the end. Just a little foo-foo right over the infield.
Foo-foo. So the Mets pick up another. They've had at least one run in every inning and at least one hit in every inning. And now the bunt attempt by Gooden, and it is successful. And Santana moves down to second base. Gooden had a bunt base hit in a sacrifice situation back in the second inning.
He certainly laid down a good bunt there. In fact, Eddie Lynch had a stretch out pretty far and almost missed that ball.
So that brings up Mookie Wilson. Mookie 1 for 3 today. Had a pinch hit single to tie the game in the 8th inning yesterday. Mets won it 2-1. On a base hit by Bill Allman. Strike one.
I tell you, when a game goes on and you see a guy execute a bunt, you just it kind of blends in with the game. But it means so much to the offense when you are effective in making those plays.
And strike two. Fastball fouled off. Count stays back, and it is over the fence, over the glove of the right fielder Mumphrey. Santana scores, and Mookie in with a triple.
Mookie Wilson certainly gets all of this one. It fools Mumphrey in right field. He doesn't get back quickly. Almost kills himself on the fence. Santana's going to score easily. And Mookie Wilson glides into third base with a stand-up triple. Santana watching the play. Sees that it's not caught. He's going to score easily. Mookie was really burning around second base. Came into third very easily.
And that is his 6th triple of the year. And the batter now is Keith Miller, the infield in, and the breaking ball for a ball.
I'll tell you this, coming on the side, you wonder sometimes if a pitcher realizes it. I don't know if Eddie Lynch realizes that he's doing that, coming down on the side more than before. I mean, it's really noticeable.
Right back to the pitcher. Lynch has Mookie in a rundown. Turns him back to third, and now the Cubs mess up this play about as badly as you can. Mookie's still in the rundown, and they don't get him there. And the tag is finally made as Keith Miller goes over to third. And the Cubs pulling the rundown play as badly as you can do without losing the out.
Ralph, if anybody gets the exact call on this one right, I'm going to give him $1. I mean, there's more tosses on this one. Here comes the fourth one. Now we're going for 5. Now we're going for 6. And Mookie finally said, well, I can't go anywhere else. He's already on third base.
Now Mookie whistle.
Great effort by Mookie Wilson.
So the Mets don't lose the advantage of the base runner at third. They do lose an out. as Mookie stays in that rundown play, maybe set a record. And Keith Hernandez is now the batter. He takes a breaking ball, strike one.
In all due respect to Mookie Wilson, and in defense a little bit of the Cubs, Mookie Wilson may be one of the toughest guys in baseball in a rundown situation like that. His quick acceleration is as good as anybody's, and his lateral movement is evidenced by what took place right there.
And that pitch, a ball, one strike. Here's a situation with two good friends combating each other, Keith Hernandez and Ed Lynch.
I'd be very surprised to see Eddie Lynch give Keith Hernandez a good pitch to hit here.
And you're right. And Keith goes after the 3-0 pitch. It misses. 3-1. Two and two the count. And the fastball fouled back. Good pitch by. And the breaking ball for ball 3, and the count full to Keith Hernandez.
I really felt that those would be the types of pitches he would give Keith Hernandez, not giving him an opportunity to get a good pitch to hit.
Mets leading 7-1. 7 runs on 11 hits. The Cubs have 1 run on 2 hits off Dwight Gooden. Foul. So the cast, and he just misses with a fastball that Hernandez walks for the second time. Keith now has been on base all 4 times that he has been at bat. A single, a double, and 2 walks. So runners now at first and third.
Santana.
And Carter goes after the curveball and misses. Strike one. And a strike call off the fastball. Strike two. If you're keeping score, that rundown play went 1, 2, 5, 2, 6, 1. And it's strike 3, so a good breaking ball ends the inning, but the Mets pick up 1 on 2 hits. There was 1 error and 2 men were left on base.
To the 6th inning, and Jerry Mumphrey, the right fielder, leads off against Dwight Gooden. Mumphrey, Durham, and then Moreland do.
Maybe the Cubs can hope that the long inning might have distracted Dwight Gooden, because he's been sailing along, but he sat on the bench an awfully long time last inning.
Well, Mumphrey, officially nothing out of 1. He reached on Miller's error in the 3rd after walking in the 1st inning. And the pitch is too high, ball 1. There's the breakdown on Gooden right now. 74 pitches. He has 2 strikeouts, has walked 3. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Upstairs. 2-0.
See a little blood trickling from the left arm of Jerry Mumphrey. That's where he hit the wall, chasing a long fly ball last inning.
There's ball 3 upstairs.
1.
So Eddie Lynch started it and finished it. Ball 4. Mumphrey walks for the 2nd time. Cubs had their leadoff batter on here in the 6th inning. And this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Bull is 1 for 2. And he takes an off-speed delivery for strike 1. Durham singled to center back in the 1st inning, and he flied deep to Darryl Strawberry in right center field in the 3rd.
Dwight Gooden went 9 innings his last time out. He is struggling today. I'll be very surprised if we don't see someone up a little earlier than normal in the bullpen.
Even though he is struggling, he's still allowed just 1 run on 2 hits as Durham bloops one the other way, and that'll be hit number 3 for Chicago off the doctor. A base hit to left to put runners at 1st and 2nd with nobody out.
The next batter, third baseman, Keith.
The brain trust of the Mets right there. Again, ball did not hit the ball well at all. Just a little flare in the left field. Outstanding location. It's always better if you place it where they are not.
Well, that's what pitchers strive for, is outstanding location. That time was the hitter who had the location, and Keith Moreland will be the batter, 0 for 2. Moreland has lined deep to right and flied to shallow center.
As the baseball expression goes, hit them where they ain't.
That's right. Wee Willie Keeler, credited with coining that phrase. Mets looking for the double play. And a fastball right in there, strike one.
And that pitch looked like it had a little pop that time, Steve. He's been like in the doldrums here a little bit this inning.
Well, earlier, Tim McCarver detailed Dwight's record between day games and night games, and it is inordinately different. And perhaps it's more than just the daylight factor. Perhaps Dwight just feels better in the evening. Another strike, 0-2. I know I much prefer night games to day games.
I could tell that by the way you were yawning this morning when you came in.
And you're not kidding.
Looked like the score was New York 1, Steve Zabriskie 0. That pavement out there in the Big Apple can get rough, pal.
Well, I wasn't out last night, really, except to have some dinner with some friends, but just, I don't know, I can't, it takes me a while to get into the routine in the morning, you know. Off speed and popped up in the infield. Hernandez, shading from the sun, squeezes it. One away. And of course, the runners hold. So Moreland 0 for 3.
Okay, we're going to have the Nissan American League scoreboard here.
Grounded to third and struck out swinging in the fourth. And the doctor just blew that one right by it. Strike one.
Obviously, the game of most interest to both the Mets and the Cubs. Philadelphia in St. Louis.
Another good fastball in an outstanding location, and it's 0-2. So after walking the leadoff batter and giving up the base hit to Durham, Dwight has not been behind the next two hitters at all.
They always say the great ones have the ability to step it up a notch when they get in trouble. That's what you're seeing right here by Dwight Gooden, stepping it up a notch.
That took it up a notch, farther up and in. One ball, two strikes.
Put a notch on a helmet right here. Aggressive fastball up and in. I don't think Mr. Noche is going to be looking for the breaking ball away right here. I think it would be an excellent choice.
Let's bring home Lord Charles one time. Now he gets another fastball. 2-2.
Gary Carter set up down and away on that pitch. In Dwight Gooden's first year, I never saw a young pitcher, a rookie pitcher, be able to do what's happening right now, that reaching back for that little bit extra when he got in trouble. He was the most amazing young 19-year-old I think I've ever seen.
He steps off now, even though there was no defensive player near the bag at second. Still having a little problem getting comfortable on the mound. So 3-2. Dwight with 3 straight balls after an 0-2 count to Paul Noche. Runners at first and second with 1 out. We're in the top of the 6th inning, and the Mets are leading 7-1. And again, Dwight with that.
I don't understand that one either. That's at 7-1. They're not going to pull any trick plays right now.
Must be catching. Must be contagious. Cubs have been doing it this whole series. Well, the doctor's dancing with what brung him. And high cheese. Noche struck out for the second straight at bat.
That's exactly what it is, Steve. That ball might not have been a strike, but Noche could not check a swing. And I'll tell you what, that's a tough pitch to lay off. I don't care what type of hitter you are. You see that fastball right there, and it's a 3-2 count, a couple of men on. You can't not swing at that pitch. You got to be hacking.
And more often than not, you're not going to hit it. Jim Sundberg has hit the ball hard twice, but he's 0 for 2, and he takes the ball low and away. Check out the margin of home runs by the Cubs this year. They are in second place in the National League as a team in home runs, ahead of New York. And that is for the sun, obviously, not for any moisture. Ball 2 to Sundberg. Cincinnati has 96 home runs to lead the National League. Chicago 94, and the Mets are third with 89.
It's almost hard to believe that anybody could have hit any more home runs than the Mets this year, especially the way they have been going as of late.
Fastball right in there. 2-1.
The Mets in the last 16 games, folks, have hit 29 home runs. And they're, what, third or fourth?
Third.
Third in the National League with 87, 89 home runs.
Well, the parasols are everywhere. Check that one out.
Billy Webb's trying to find one with his name on it.
Fouled out of play, and the count 2-2. Well, up in Montreal, we had the Bill Webb International chapter of the Bill Webb Fan Club.
I saw that.
I guess we could have the Bill Webb Parasol Fan Club.
Now I know why it took him 30 minutes to get through customs, all right? There you go, Bill Webb Fan Club, Mexican chapter. He's got it covered. Go for it, guys.
It's a good thing he makes a lot of money, because he sure spends it on getting people to put those banners up at the park.
I mean,
2-2. And a breaking ball, and just fouled off by Sundberg to stay alive. You talk about hitting the top half of the ball. He hit about the top 10th of the ball that time.
Tell you what, you get a fastball pitcher out there who can really bring it. If you're not trying to hit the top half of the ball, you're in trouble, boys. You're in trouble. And any of you girls that play, it's trouble for you, too.
And that's what makes a good fastball pitcher's curveball that much more effective if he has a good one. Dwight obviously does. 2 out, runners at first and second. And a 2-2 count to Jim Sundberg. And the fastball is fouled back. It's still 2-2.
Sundberg, a nice, quick, compact swing. Can be struck out, but he Hamill out there somewhere tied up behind the center field bleachers.
That was some kind of fastball in on him and by him for strike number 3. Dwight Gooden strikes out 2 to end the inning, and the Cubs leave 2 aboard after hitting the walk here in the 6th. After 5.5, New York 7, Chicago 1, and we're back at 3 with an RBI single to right in the 4th inning. And a breaking ball for strike 1. One and 1. Darrell's had 4 homers and 9 RBIs in the last 10 games. Actually 10 RBIs now in the last 11 games. Popped up down the left field line in foul territory, and nobody can get to it. It looked like Brumley had a chance, and he sort of veered off there at the last instant. It was a very tough play.
Well, you see Palmeiro coming in. Umbrey coming at it. And Brumley might have been the only guy that could have made that play, and if he had done it, it would have just been an outstanding play, because the sun is, as he's looking over his shoulder, he's checking the sun right in his eyes.
Well, it might have been why he veered off a little bit, because he looked right up into the sun. So it's a strike, and it's 0-2 to Darrell. 1-2. to be followed by Kevin McReynolds and Howard Johnson. Eddie Lynch working his second inning. Gave up 2 runs on 2 hits in the 5th. Fly ball to short center. Long run from Martinez. He can't get it. Strawberry trying for second. He's in there as the ball short hops. The shortstop, Crumbley. So good hustle by Strawberry on a ball that Martinez had a long way to go for. That he wouldn't be able to throw it very quickly if he didn't make the catch in the air, and so he did try to go to second and was successful. McReynolds now looks at 2 balls. It's 2-0. I think a good throw, however, might have had Strawberry at second.
I agree with you, Steve. And right now Martinez may be playing 3 or 4 steps in on McReynolds. That's the shallowest he's been in center field today. Guess he got tired of running in.
Strike 1 to McReynolds. It's 2-1. There have been a number of unusual base hits in this game. Balls that were not necessarily struck all that well that have found a place to land.
How about struck terrible? That's a new snack that Harry M. Stevens has here.
It's the eatable cap. Little edible head cover. Well, apparently Sundberg and Lynch are having a problem getting together.
Eddie Lynch obviously a little exasperated against his old mates, giving up 2 runs last inning. Leadoff dunk double by Darryl Strawberry. That'll get your dander up.
Mets now with 12 hits in the game. And Strawberry's at second with nobody out. 2 balls, 1 strike to Kevin McReynolds. Good pitch, and it's 2-2. Foul back next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. McReynolds punches it down the right field line, and it falls in for a base hit. Strawberry held up, but he will be able to score easily. And McReynolds stands at second with an RBI double. It's 8-1 New York.
Well, I've heard of keeping track of the dunks in basketball, but I'm not too sure we're going to be able to keep track of it in baseball. Here's another just reached out, hit the end of the bat, dunked it right down the right field line. They just traded dunks down opposite lines. And the Mets have scored a run. They got a man on second and nobody out.
This is what we were talking about Strawberry's ability to run so smoothly. Boy, he covers a lot of ground.
He just glides, doesn't he?
Well, when you're 6'6", it doesn't hurt either, because you got those long strides that can eat up some territory.
When I used to run it, the ground used to kind of moan and shake and all that stuff, man. He just kind of tiptoes on it, you know?
He hardly bends a blade of grass. Unlike you and I.
Oh.
We turn those anthills into flat.
I mean, they heard me coming, pal. I know that. Grunting and groaning and stepping.
Mets now with 2 hits in this inning to keep that string alive. And an off-speed breaking ball for strike 1. It's 2 balls and 1 strike to Howard Johnson. Lojo's walked all 3 times and has scored twice. So he still is without an official at bat in the ball game. McReynolds at second and nobody out, and another run in here in the 6th inning for New York. High fly into right or the left center field, and Martinez lost it. Palmeiro makes the catch. Martinez had the sunglasses down. Palmeiro was there sort of to help him out and really wound up helping him out in a big way.
I'll tell you, this sun is really tough today. We've talked about it more than once. Every time that ball comes out there, it's an adventure right now. That's why those guys on the infield, they just have to, I mean, when you hit that ball, you got to be ready to run. And that's a nice play by Palmeiro to just be around and then to make the catch. It's incredible the date it's been out here.
Dave Martinez appeared to have the ball all the way until the last few seconds, and then he had no idea where it was. Rafael Santana 2 for 2 plus a walk, a run scored, and 2 RBIs. And Rafa keeps it going. Strike one. You're watching Mets baseball 87 on WWOR TV, Secaucus, New Jersey.
We're getting a whole week's worth of these fly balls in here today. Normally you might see one of these every other game or something.
The second baseman out of position. Santana lines out to right, however, as Noche was breaking to the bag for a play on McReynolds. Lynch went ahead and delivered the ball to the plate anyway, and the whole right side of the infield was wide open.
Lynch delivers. Ball breaking away from Santana. Doesn't hit it extremely hard, but look at the big gap there. I'll tell you what, all you have to do is get that ball on the ground and you got a sure hit.
And Dwight Gooden has a base hit as he holds up on a breaking ball and takes low ball one. Well, on a sacrifice bunt attempt back in the second inning, Dwight beat it out for a base hit, and then he did sacrifice successfully in the fifth. He's 1 for 2 officially, having hit into a double play in the third. Grounded right back to Eddie Lynch, and the inning is over. But the Mets pick up 2 runs on back-to-back doubles by Strawberry. Brumley called up from Iowa June 16th, where he was hitting .276 with 3 homers and 10 RBIs. And of course, the injury to Sean Dunston necessitated his coming to Chicago. Fastball for strike one.
I tell you, Steve, this might be one of those games Davey Johnson should consider not letting Dwight Gooden finish. They're ahead 8-1. He gets out of this inning with nothing. I know I certainly would consider taking him out of the ball game.
Strike 2. 0-2. Well, it was 88 degrees at game time today, and the temperature probably hit 90 sometime in the first 4 or 5 innings in the real peak of the afternoon heat. So that has to be a consideration.
Well, he's laboring today. He doesn't have his outstanding stuff. I mean, obviously he's thrown some outstanding pitches. You see a curveball up out of the strike zone. I do think that when a guy is laboring like that, you know, especially 8-1, he pitched 9 innings last time out. I think some consideration should be had there. Just speaking for myself, naturally.
Well, we'll see what Davey does. They have not gotten anybody up in the bullpen yet. And I'm sure, too, the number of pitches that Dwight throws will come into consideration. High and tight, and the count now 2-2. The Twins beat Cleveland, and they now lead by 4.5 games in the AL West.
Boy, that is awesome, isn't it?
Minnesota Twinks, boy, there.
What did Dizzy Dean say? Who would have thunk it?
Who'd have thunk it? Breaking ball grounded to second. Keith Miller throws him out, and it's a perfect day for Mike Brumley. He's grounded to second all 3 times up.
Attention, please.
So that'll bring up pinch hitter Bob Dernier.
Pitcher Ed Lynch, number 20, Bob Dernier.
Dernier hitting .354, 3 homers, 11 RBIs, and he's 2 for 9 as a pinch hitter.
He did go deep one time. One of those 3 home runs that he's had on the season was as a pinch hitter, and 2 of the 11 RBIs.
So Bobby batting with 1 out and nobody on here in the 7th. Breaking ball stays high for ball 1. Dernier hitting .387 over his last 31 at-bats. Ron Davis, throwing for Chicago, will be the next Cubs pitcher. A fastball is high, 2-0. And another high fastball makes it 3-0. Dwight has already walked 4 in the game and has not had the kind of command he usually displays. Three and one. And there's ball 4. number 5 issued by the doctor.
Here's the center fielder.
And with one out,
Dave
Denier,
Martinez,
who can run like a deer, is at first base for Dave Martinez.
Well, even though it is the 80s and it's a running 80s, as we've talked many times, people steal in all kinds of different situations, I don't think the Cubs are going to be trying to steal bases here.
No way. I'll bet you Hernandez won't even hold him on.
Well, he's standing behind him right now. You try to keep him honest.
He puts the semi-hold on. Martinez 1 for 2 plus a walk. Singleton scored in the 3rd, and Denier takes off running, and the Mets just let him go.
Well, there we are.
Nolo contendere. We'll see if he's credited with a stolen base, as the official score may rule indifference on the play on the part of the Mets.
Well, I'll tell you what, if the Mets had stayed at first base, I don't think he goes. But when you start saying we're not going to worry about you, a guy with Bob Denier's speed, I don't think they should concede that to the opposition, to the defense, that I'm just not going to run.
A strike to Martinez. 0-2.
It is the 80s, and I will say I still don't think they'll be running. May I stagger through that statement?
Well, I think it's a good play on Denier's part. They're not going to hold you on. Go ahead and go. What the heck? He runs so well that even if Carter wants to throw down there, the odds are in his favor, and neither Santana nor Miller even broke to cover the second base bag.
The Met bullpen is still very quiet right now.
And it's 1 ball, 2 strikes to Martinez. Martinez, with his base hit in the 3rd, extending his hitting streak to 9 games. He's hit over 400 during that 9-game streak. Breaking ball fouled off, and the count's still 1-2. That's EBG. Error on the ball girl.
It's a tough play. It hits the grass. Gets a bad hop. She didn't have good foot positioning at all, though.
No, she sort of overran that a tad. You're being very charitable, and rightfully so. One and 2 to Martinez.
Quiet crowd right now at Shea Stadium for an 8-1 lead. White Gooden, 2 strikes in the ball, 1 out. You'd think with that 2 strikes they'd get a little more excited right now, but they are sitting on their hands right now.
Well, I think they figure with the doctor out there that maybe the game was in the bag a little bit.
There is no such thing.
Yes, we know that. However, fans don't always react accordingly. Many of the people who were in the upper deck have started to leave the park. Strike 3 called on the corner. Strikeout number 5 for Gooden.
Now left fielder.
He certainly needed that pitch. Get himself going in the right direction again. And he's really pumping right now. I mean, he's really working hard. And that ball is a tough pitch to hit. Fast ball, just catching that outside part of the plate. That's what you call a nipper. Just did nip the corner.
As opposed to Bob. Rafael Palmeiro 0 for 3 was grounded out, struck out, and flied out. And he pops a fastball out of play for strike 1. Palmeiro, since he was called up from Iowa on June 15th, has had 6 hits. But 2 of those 6 hits have been game winners.
Cubs are very high on this young man, and I think rightly so, Steve. Timmy and Ralph were talking about him earlier. I think you'll see this young man in a Major League uniform for a lot of years.
And he goes about everything he does fine fashion. Fastball away makes it 1-1. He uses an open stance at the plate, but when the pitch is on the way, he does step toward the pitcher.
When he came up from Iowa, he had a .547 slugging percentage.
Good breaking ball from Dwight. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
He didn't get it off any pitches like that, I'll guarantee you that much.
No. Might not have seen a bender like that in AAA.
Now watch this little hook right here. This is the Lord Charles right here, folks. That's called I Don't Have a Chance.
Now the crowd gets into it. And he just misses with a fastball outside. 2-2. They were just waiting until they're 2 out, Russ. That's all.
Well, we got a little movement here.
Doug Sisk now begins to throw, so this may be Dwight Gooden's last inning. Popped up into short center field. Mookie Wilson coming on is there in plenty of time, and the inning is over. A walk and 1 left in the 7th for Chicago. And after 6.5, that may be the day for the Doc. But
Doubt that his returning to the mound and being able to pitch well has been the biggest uplift for the Mets all season long.
Mookie, as you see, has hit significantly better against the Cubs over his career than he has against the league as a whole. And he is 2 for 4 today with a triple, a single, and an RBI. That foul out of play makes it 0-2.
All season long, not only the Mets players, but I think a lot of the Mets media. I know myself personally, I felt that the Mets could hold on until the middle of June and be close. They would have a heck of a chance as Mookie fouls that ball back behind home plate. They would have a chance to win it. They fell too far behind, and I think that was kind of the attitude. You know, scramble until he does get back. If he had not pitched well, I think it would have been very deflating for the Mets. But the fact that he pitched extremely well just gave everybody that juice to get on the right wagon here.
Mookie continually fouling on work. That pitch not really as close to Mookie Wilson as it appeared, even with the crowd's reaction.
He does have good movement here, though, with his feet.
That's that Fred Astaire school of hitting. Grounded to second. Paul Noche throws him out. 1 away here in the 7th. Sometime next week. Ground ball to short. Brumley. And just does nip a hustling Keith Miller for the second out of the inning.
First baseman, Keith.
You have to love it when you see a young man come up and have an opportunity like Keith Miller has.
Unscored. On the corner for strike 1. 2 out, nobody on in the bottom of the 7th inning. Fouled out of play down the left field line, and it's 0-1. Hernandez over the last 40 games has hit .327, and he entered today's game with his average against the league sitting right at .300 for the year. So his 2 hits today will keep him above that .300 mark.
And he certainly looks better with that mustache growing back.
Strike 3 is missed and goes all the way to the backstop. Sundberg hustling, and the ball going off Hernandez, it appeared, but backed up nicely by Paul Noche, the second baseman. So it'll be a strikeout for Davis, but Hernandez will be safe at first, and we'll see if they score at a wild pitch.
Well, it's a tough pitch. It's a slider down and in, hits the ground. There was no movement by Sundberg to try to get in front of that ball. He tried to spear it with his glove, and he missed. Keith Hernandez is safe at first.
And that'll give Gary Carter a chance to hit here in the 7th inning with Hernandez at first and 2 away. Gary drove in a run with a force play in the 1st inning. And he takes low ball 1. That's only one of the many arteries. Breaking ball high. 2 balls, no strikes to Carter. It has been scored a wild pitch on the ball that Keith Hernandez reached first after the 3rd strike. That's only the 2nd strikeout of a Mets hitter today. Carter grounds it foul outside 3rd, and the count 2-1.
Billy Wibb is he just run out of bridges. He's going to traffic now.
I wonder if he can tell us what bridge that is,
so we don't go on it,
and which freeway he was showing.
There he is. I knew we'd get a bridge in today.
Carter chases a breaking ball, and the count goes to 2-2. Bill Webb thinks you can see the George Washington Bridge from here.
Well, you know, no one said Billy's working with a full deck of cards here now.
Now, we had cars, bridges, now we got trains. Find a boat, will you, Bill?
Don't tell him, he'll find it.
2-2 to Carter. Gets him with the breaking ball. Davis strikes out 2 in the inning. Has to get 4 outs to get the...
Fastball outside from Sisk. 8-1 New York on top. We're in the 8th. Ball 2. I heard a very interesting stat, speaking of no stolen bases. As you look at Dwight Gooden's pitches, and one of the reasons, as Steve and Russ said, why he is out of there. Ball 3, 3-0. Mentioned no stolen bases. The stolen base ratio this year, 71% of all attempted steals have been successful in the National League. For the league. And in no other time in the history of the National League
First baseman, Leon Durham.
have 70% of the attempts been successful. The highest back in 1985, when the National League stole 69.6% of all attempted steals.
And to what do you attribute that, Mr. McCarty?
Speed, pitchers not holding runners on. Ball 1. That is 5 balls in a row thrown by Doug Sisk. Ball 2.
I think it's true that you do see fewer pitchers that have real outstanding moves to first base. Here comes Davey and trainer Steve Garland.
It looked like Sisk did hurt something, and I'm telling you, it's epidemic. Even Lee Smith pitching on the Mets mound last night. Obviously, I'm not blaming Pete Flynn and his fine ground crew, but just the hex that is on in this ballpark. I mean, anybody who pitches, it seems like, subject to injury. Man, appears to be all right.
He's throwing well and putting the ball right in there. Throwing at least without an evidence of just. Here's a look at his motion now. There's no
not there.
No unusual movement.
This one way outside. 3-1 to Durham, who may be taking again. Davey Johnson, Mel Stottlemyre looking on with obvious concern. And strike 2. Durham taking all the way. 3-2 to Leon.
Lee Smith said he injured his lower back a little last night when he landed incorrectly on the mound.
Rip to right, base hit. Mumphrey's going to go to 3rd. Durham's going to go to 2nd, and the Cubs have runners at 2nd and 3rd, and nobody out here in the 8th inning.
3rd hit of the ball game for Leon Durham, and Durham has really pounded New York pitching. He started the day hitting .368 against the Mets this year.
Third baseman.
And this is his 3rd hit, a double to go with 2 singles. The only time the Mets have been able to get him out, as you see Strawberry cut the ball off. And Darrow making the proper play.
3. Strike 1.
The only time the Mets got Durham out, he lined out hard deep right center field to Strawberry.
Slider, ground ball, left side, tough play, Santana. Nice play, Magadan. Oh boy, what a nice play by Rafael Santana. A run does score. It's now 8-2, but 1 out.
Well, what the Mets wanted to do was get an out here, and it took a fine play by Santana to do it. He's way behind third baseman Howard Johnson. A long throw, and he knows he doesn't have a lot of time to plant, so he just throws on the run, and Dave Magadan picks it at the other end for the out.
Takes a strike. Paul's had a rough day. He has struck out twice and grounded to third.
He's had a rough day in the field, too.
Tapper towards short. Santana will go to first, of course. On the play, Durham moves to third, but there are 2 outs now in the 8th inning. Caught all those games, 1,766. He had to stretch a lot. But not so Keith Miller. He had to move to his left 1 step. He made the catch. Cubs score a run on a hit. They strand the runner, and after 7.5, 8-2, New York. And we'll be back after this word from Bud Light.
And the WGN Cub Network. Darryl Strawberry. He's 2 out of 4. Ron Davis throws the ball by him, and it's evened up. "13 hits for the Mets, 8 runs. Now the pitch swung on and smashed on the ground. Durham's got it. Steps on the bag. You know, if we could have scored as many runs last night on only 4 hits as we have today, 2, we'd have been in good shape.
Les Lancaster certainly would have enjoyed having that kind of a lead. There you look at the bullpen. Roger McDowell's not going to get much action today.
Here's McReynolds chasing a slider for a strike. 1 out. McReynolds 2 out of 4. A high pop fly. Noche calls for it, and he has it. 2 gone. Here's Howard Johnson. 0 for 1, 3 walks.
Bullpen up and throwing for New York. Looks like Randy Myers is the left-hander. Not sure about the right-hander.
Now the pitch is strike call. Gary Carter will be credited with the game-winning RBI. The pitch swung, and he fouled it back. The pitch. He struck him out. And that retires the side 1, 2, 3. That's the first time they've been retired in order. At the end of 8, it remains the Mets 8, the Cubs 2.
1. And ball 2 down low. So Myers behind his first hitter. Strike one. 2-1. High and tight, 3-1. Myers doing a little groundskeeping of his own as he lands in a different spot and a different way than the right-handed pitchers. There's ball 4. Ball 1.
I tell you, a lot of people look at Randy Myers' record. They see he's 0-3 and a healthy ERA, but they don't realize that how infrequent it is that he has any consistency by which to go. He hasn't pitched in 8 days. Kurt Simmons used to say you never judge a player or a pitcher in the spring or the fall. And Randy Myers, that's really the only time prior to this year that we've had a chance to look at him. It's been recalled 2 Septembers for the Mets. But the more I see of him, the more I see why he's one of the most sought after of the Mets pitchers and mentioned in almost every trade rumor.
Well, he's definitely a desirable commodity because of the future that he should have based on the equipment he has, which is formidable. Harnessing that is really the key, and I think it's a good point, Timmy, that he's the kind of guy that you've got to expect is going to have a problem as you look at Jody Davis on deck getting ready to pinch hit.
John Kibler said Diet went around on that swing. It appeared that he did. Brian, not again. You have to have consistency to be successful, and there are just other guys in front of you. It's that simple.
That's right. Strike one to Jody Davis. And if you think back over the course of time, and particularly with pitchers, it took some great pitchers a number of years and, you know, that infrequent opportunity in the big leagues season after season to find that consistency and stick.
Most heralded case, of course, the left-handed pitcher Sandy Koufax. Because of the bonus rule in those days, you had to, if you signed for more than $4,000, you had to make it to the big leagues, or at least if you signed for more than $4,000, you had to stay on the big league roster. In those days, you could carry 28 players for the first month of the season, and then it was cut to the normal 25 to be expanded in September.
This ball gets away, and Brumley will advance to second as it looked to bounce off of the shin guard of Barry Lyons. Oh yeah. Passed ball is charged to Barry Lyons. Jody Davis swings and misses, and he's out of there. So Randy Myers, after walking Mike Brumley, in center field. Fouled away, strike one. Total crowd here when they were all here together of 44,325. 40,167 of them paid to get into Shea. But there are considerably fewer than that left at the moment. This is going to make everybody's job getting out of here a little easier. One ball, one strike to Palmeiro. Skied to center. Mookie Wilson. Ball game is over. Randy Myers finishes off the 9th inning, but it was Dwight Gooden for the first 7 who picked up his 4th win against only 1 loss. And the Mets have moved now, depending on what St. Louis does tonight, to within 5 games of the Cardinals, and temporarily at least broken their 3rd place tie with Montreal behind the front-running St. Louis Cardinals.
Also look at the highlights of the ball game, and we'll be back to talk with Rusty Staub and check out the scores. And that'll be right after this message from Miller Lite Beer. Big day out here, on base 4 times with 2 hits, 2 walks, and also got on base the 5th time. We'll look at that a little bit later on. And Keith, the big news story today was Dwight Gooden talking about his history with cocaine and how it came about and how he got into it. And of course, that hit the scene, and everybody was, well, everybody was very interested in it. Will that help him or will that hurt him, or does it make any difference?
I don't think it's going to hurt him. I think that, if anything, I'll question the timing of it and the day he pitches. I mean, preferably on a day he's not pitching. But if he felt a need to express himself about it, I think there's a message out there for the kids. I mean, if anything, it's as terrible as the cocaine problem is in the country. And the athletes today that have had problems, it's a message to young kids that, hey, you know, this is not the way to go. And so in that aspect, it's positive.
I think one of the things that was interesting in his confession was the fact that he said it was peer pressure rather than the pressure of baseball games. And of course, if it were pressure of the baseball games, it would seem to me that you have a chance to, and I guess you always have a chance to get back on it, but a bigger chance to get back on it if the pressure of pitching in the major leagues, and he's gone through tremendous pressure, if that was a reason, it would be a problem. But the fact that he was talked into it by his peers, friends that he ran around with, friends, not really friends, the people he ran around with, that might be a better sign for him, in my opinion. I'm not that familiar with it.
Well, you know, I think that it's pretty well documented with the drug problems in the country, in society, that peer pressure is where it's at. I mean, you know, if you don't do it, you're outcast. So that's nothing new. It's not surprising to me that was the heart of the matter.
If and when Gooden came back, and Gooden has come back, as he's won his 4th game in 5 decisions, the Mets are now playing good baseball. And it seemed to start with the return of Dwight Gooden. Of course, he did stabilize the pitching department in some respects because the Mets are really hurting in pitching, but he gives you that feeling when you go out to the ball game and he's on the mound that you got a great chance.
Well, I was just telling Charlie Samuels, our clubhouse guy, today that, well, last night, we haven't been able to say this of late. You know, it was a big win last night because we got Doc going tomorrow. You know, that's something we've always had.
Right.
So when you win the night before with Doc coming the next day, it's almost you can almost bank it that you got 2 wins in a row. So, and that's a good feeling for the ball club. And like I say, offensively, team-wise, when we go out there with Doc, we feel 3 runs is going to win. And because Doc's going to throw a quality ball game.
In this series, there was a very interesting incident that took place in the 2nd game of the series. The Mets won that game by a score of 2-1. They might not have won it if this hadn't taken place as we look at it on the videotape replay. Keith Hernandez was involved in this play, and it was Durham on at second base and a fly ball out to right field. And right here, Strawberry makes the catch. Durham tags up and goes to third. And Keith, right here, you notice something that wasn't quite right.
Well, in that play, Ralph, I had nothing to do fundamentally as far as being in position. The smile is a funny story behind that, but
I love that look, like a cat and mouse.
Well, it's even a funnier story is that when I went to the mound, I saw Durham leave early, and Darrell made the whole play because Darrell's got a great arm, and Durham felt that's why Durham left early. But I went to the mound and told Mitch, I said, you know, Durham left early, make an appeal at second base, and Mitch, typical Mitch, you know, doesn't show any emotion in the southern drawl, says, well, what do I do? And I said, Mitch, I go, take your stretch, step off, throw the ball to Keith at second base, and we'll get the out. It was fortunate that they got 2 hits back-to-back after that, and they would have scored a run. It might have been a big inning. So, you know, in that situation, I had nothing to do, so I watched Durham. And the fact that the ball was shallow, it made me even look closer, and he did leave early.
And a good thing that Jim Quick, the umpire at second, was watching the play, and actually we should point out that if that play isn't called to the attention of the umpires can't do anything. They can't call him out for leaving early. It has to be brought to their attention.
Correct. And when Durham left early, I screamed at Quick. I yelled at him just to make sure that to draw his attention to it. So I knew we were going to get the out for sure because he did leave early.
So the Mets won that ball game. They evened the series, and then won here today by a score of 8-2. And as we mentioned earlier, Keith had 2 hits and 2 walks to get on 4 times. This is his 5th time at bat. You know, Keith, we always look at your base hits and your output. Right here, this is a little different way to get on.
Well, he threw me a spitball there, and it had that funny rotation. The spitball has a kind of like a fast knuckle rotation on it. and the bottom dropped out on it. But I had a good swing, and a spitball in that situation is a tough pitch to hit because it just comes up there at a fastball speed and just like all of a sudden comes off a cliff.
Of course, that spitball has been outlawed since 1920, but some people still manage to work it into their repertoire.
I tell you what, a lot of pitchers in the league now do throw it. I don't know where they get it there. I mean, Gaylord Perry was obviously the master at it, but they're a little more discreet than Gaylord.
Keith, it's the end of July, and the games have been very, very long this year, averaging, I'd say, pretty close to 2 hours and 50 minutes. This game was a 3-hour-plus ball game, and on a hot day like this, you can get a little tired.
Well, it wore me out, definitely. But, you know, I think the games are slower today because you've got commercial time and the fact that there's so much speed in the game. And pitchers go to 3-2 counts, and you have to hold these runners on, and you constantly got pitchers thrown over to first base, which takes time. And, you know, when I first came up, then, and a well-pitched 1-0 game was an hour and 50, 45 minutes. Today, a 1-0 game goes 2:15 if you're lucky, normally 2:30. So we're out there definitely a long time.
You probably catch more balls at first base than Gary Carter catches catching.